Hello guys, how's it going? Oh man, what a day today. Let me just share this. Oh, the stress is high, man. Pretty stressed out about stuff right now with the whole situation of the nurses, right? Like some of our wives gonna probably have to be recruited to deal with sick people eventually if it gets worse here in California, but hopefully not. But it's stressful, man. It's stressing our family out.
It's pretty bad in the States.
Yeah, dude. It's like, yeah. I mean, like by states, I mean like the New York and New Jersey, basically. Like California seemed pretty fine so far. It might get much worse, right? But the thing is, like we were staying home. It's like we are not going out. And New York people are having like parties and stuff. It's just crazy.
Is your wife working a lot right now?
What's that?
Is your wife working a lot right now?
If she's working, what?
Is she working a lot because of the?
Yeah, I mean, like she goes to the hospital 4 times a week, but she's a lactation practitioner, so she takes care of babies, right? But at the same time, eventually she might be recruited to, deal with the general public. That's stressful for us. Very, very uncertain. Let me try to find out here. Like I had like I think this is the one here I was using, yeah, with the exposure layer. So yeah, I'm just gonna update you guys in a few things. So the first one is that there is a solution which is kind of like half-baked for that problem that we had with XGen Interactive not following the guides, right? So the first thing here, look at that. This is interactive, and it's actually the guides are definitely defining the clumps. So basically like clumps by guides, right? It's kind of stuff that we don't have for XGen Interactive, but turns out that there is a way to do it. And the credit has to go to Jesus. Jesus saves. So it's Jesus. He has this website. This is a cool link for you guys. He is like one of those gurus when it comes like to XGen. It's like he uses mostly core because he works in production, and it's much more stable for production. Right now, if it's just for concepting or doing like stuff that we are doing for portraits, I mean, like even he says like it's like it's totally fine to use interactive, but just be aware of the limitations and everything, right? So I did some tests yesterday. So the first thing I'm gonna say is that I managed to actually add the whole hair in my old lady, and I think I fixed the window thing that was snapping, right? You want to see how do we fix that? Look at this thing here. So basically, like now it's not like it's just slow, but it's actually not snapping anymore to the corners and resizing. It's a weird feature in Windows 10 that's called, if you search for like multitasking. So random, right? Like multitasking. If you look for multitasking, there is this snap windows in here. It was basically on by default. So when you snap a window, when I snap a window, automatically size it to fit available space, fill available space. So basically, every time you move a window from one monitor to the other one, specifically like with a very different resolution, it does all this snapping stuff. It's so irritating. So that's the way you turn it off. So now I can actually flow like monitor to monitor, no problem. Like so that's a good thing. The other one is that I managed to actually finally add all the hair in the lady. It's a lot of volume right now. There's a lot of volume in the back. It's not, the design is not good or anything, but at least all the hair is in place. And what I decided to do here that was different from what I did yesterday, so I can share with you guys what I did here. I thought it would be more, I would have more control over stuff if I did everything separate, right? Because yesterday I was talking about like, it's like having things in layers, right? Like, so this, for example, would be like a deeper layer, and then some hair would cover it, and then the top hair would cover the whole thing. So what I did was just basically this, look. So I started with the sideburns, and then the sideburns, I mean, like you don't need to do this. It's just like everything, you have plenty of options to how to approach those things, right? So basically this one here, let's see, where is the sideburns right here? So I have like those guides, so not a lot of them, just a few. It was very easy to just like, do the whole grooming in there because it's just like a little piece like that. I was imagining like if I have like areas that change direction very drastically, for the hair to interpolate like correctly, it's such a pain in the butt. You know, it's like I was dealing with a ton of them at the end of the night yesterday, and I was like, man, that's not okay, because I'm just like trying to fight those directions just by adding more and more of them, and it's just not working. Even with areas was just like becoming messy. So I split this one. So I create this layer, and then if I hide it so you can see it, this one. So I went to the side hair. So I create this layer. So basically, like what I'm masking here is this. So if I turn this off, basically like it's masking just this area around here, right? So basically like the sideburns and then this middle section like that, which I'm basically using some hair guides here. It's like, you know, it's like those guides, by the way, I use like the automatic suggested number when you click to create them, right? Like, so I'm just using that one, and just like I approach like the hair itself when I'm going to sculpt like a lot of hair, just like selecting little bundles of them, and then, you know, it's like little by little, just like painting the whole thing. So for example, like if I have to do any tweaks in here, I would just like select a little bundle. For example, like the top, let's say, would get like those guys right here. Oops. Oh, it's reversed for me. So I would get this guys here, for example. Let's hide that one. And then I would just like grab it and then just add a little form to those guys. Let me just turn this off too. You know, just like change direction, do whatever I need to do just with a little bundle in there, right? Like add more curvature, whatever it is, and then move to the next one. Basically, like keep selecting and deselecting a couple of them, and then letting interpolate just like among itself, right? So it doesn't have to fight the direction that I was trying to get from here. Obviously, this part here, I'm trying to create a little bit of clump. I'm gonna have to clump some stuff a little manually in here, but or add a little bit more support guides to help with that. But for example, there's a lot of modifiers I added in here. So basically, like, this is the clump modifier, right? That's just like clumping around there. But then the noise is actually really obliterating it. It might be a little bit too strong at this point. So yeah, it's just like going back and forth and trying to figure it out, you know. So this one has a 9 for intensity. So I can actually eventually just like bring it down a little bit and then add another noise just for, you know, to get a little bit more randomness to it, but without destroying it too much. But one thing that I did was this one here as well. So I have my clump on top of it, and then I have another noise on top. And this one here is just to add the flyaways. So if I show you without the background, so you can actually see better. Let's see. Why am I not selecting it? Sometimes it goes crazy. Where is it? Huh. Refuse to select the background now for some reason. Oh, maybe that one. I clicked by mistake, sorry. So let's go back to this one here, and panels, perspective. So right now, so I have like those flyaways around there, right? So to create them was basically like using just like the noise modifier. So I created a very strong one basically, which is this, let me just expand this so you can see it. Select it, and then just get my shaders here. And let's just graph it, input and output. So this is the noise I have in there. So I'm gonna unplug in here so I can see the difference without and with the noise. So if I unplug this, break connection, everything is very strong, you see? Basically, like I cranked this magnitude here by a lot. So I went like from nothing here to like 18, so a lot of it. And also for the noise to affect a little bit closer to the roots, you have to actually bring this area here up. Try not to increase too much or touch at all the root itself, otherwise it gets very, you know, broken. You're gonna see the root's gonna start shooting angles like that if you move the root. So keep that in place, but then this one here can actually bring a little closer to the root and start like getting crunchy kind of like earlier instead of like waiting to go like all the way just the tips, you know? So you can get a lot of it like that. So once I had like kind of like this gigantic amount of noise in there, just to create this very crazy amount of flyaways, then I plug this noise, which I can try to do like a copy here so you can see. So for example, like a mask, I just added a noise. And then for here, I just did the same thing that I normally do, just switch to Perlin noise. I'm going to increase this frequency by a lot, like 400, for example, right? And then here you're going to notice like the preview shows like it's white with a little specks of black, right? So I'm going to reverse it with effects invert, right? So it's going to look, if I go up now, and this guy here is going to get dark just with a little few spots of black like that, right? And then now you can see that I can control how many of those are going to start spreading. Like I can get like a lot of them or just a few of them like that. And even here, I can actually still play with the color balance, right? With alpha luminance. I can get some of them to even more exaggerated like that. Oh man, it's auto saving. I hope it doesn't crash. Just a second. Yeah, those scenes are getting a little bigger now because you know, I have all the hair in place, so it's about like 600 megs right now. So you see, like I cranked this one quite a lot, and then you can increase even more like the amount of noise you have in there. And then this one again, if you bring it down, you get more of them to become like flyaways. And if you go down, you get like just a few of them to break up the surface right there. So it's simply like just a noise, you know. So if I show you like this, you can see the breakups on the sides, right? Just a few of them doing that. And in the render, it looks kind of nice. I mean, like there's a lot of stuff I still have to do, but you know, it's just like some random stuff. And then obviously you can add the layer just with flyaways themselves as a separate description if you want. But this is kind of like a quick way to just create some flyaways without, you know, having to create a different description or anything. So, and then once I had the side hair in place, and now I have like side hair in the sides in here, right? Like the little sideburns. Then I added the top one. So let's hide this and this. Oops, this one here. And then I split in two. So for example, like I made just one side of the hair first as one description. I know it's not ideal, you know, it's like a lot of people are gonna be like, oh man, why, you know? But it worked for me because again, like I'm trying to fight too much this thing about like, okay, if there is a drastic change of direction of stuff, all of a sudden it becomes a pain in the butt to just like separate things correctly, you know? It's like sometimes the masks don't work totally correctly. So this way is kind of like a hacky way to just like add the entire hair without like, you know, fighting directions or anything. Basically like what you sculpt to one side, that's basically what's going to happen. And then eventually if I need some additional stuff in the middle, I can add that kind of like a customized version, you know? But overall, it's like the whole head is covered, but obviously the design is crap so far. I mean, like it's more volume on the top, less volume on the sides and stuff, you know? So I have to now go and sculpt this thing. One thing that I use for sculpting, for example, like if I go to show the guides in here, like that, and then I have to hide this. And then I'm going to show, for example, those hairs around here, and then I'm going to hide that. So if I want to do something like, you know, it's like just like do like big movements with a lot of stuff that's already in place, instead of using this comb brush, I normally use this guy here. But remember yesterday I was stretching them by, you know, using the preserve length off just to stretch them on purpose. But now I'm keeping them on so I can actually just change the size without destroying things too much, you know. So let's see, I have my brush in here. So let's go and do like a, let's see, preserve length right there, and then guides right here. I hope I didn't destroy something I just touched in there. My display is starting to act a little funny, so I'm kind of like concerned that something's gonna go to crap. So this is the right side, sorry. So if I try to sculpt here, nothing is gonna happen because I have to sculpt this side. So let's say, let's go back to this guy. And now I can go like with a big ball like that, for example, and just tap the entire thing in a little bit like that. And remove some of those bigger volumes, you know. It works better than the comb for this kind of stuff. If it's just like correcting silhouette, just like it's nicer to just like slightly just move stuff around those big masses, you know, and then remove those gigantic volumes I have at this point.
Hey, Chris?
Yes?
Why would you say splitting the hair into groups is not ideal?
I don't know, like some people, they prefer like, you know, it's like if they are doing like some simulations, for example, like keep stuff in place and just like use some, how you call, like it's not description, is I forgot the term. under the XGen, like you have the descriptions and you have something else. I don't remember what it is. Yeah, it's kind of like groups inside that description, you know, and it's easier to control that
Collection?
way. Oh, sorry.
The collection? You mean
The collections,
the
yes.
collection inside description?
Yes, exactly. So people prefer to use that, right? Like, and even Jesus, he has this amazing tools that he's actually helping to write as well, just to keep track of all those things. You know, it's like it's easier to work in like in a pipeline, for example, with the kind of stuff that he's doing. But in my case here, I just think like maybe it's not quite ideal, but at the same time, for what I need here, it works. You know, it's just like it's fine. Yeah, I'm not saying like don't do it. It's just like it might be a little bit unusual. I don't know. I've seen people doing this in production as well, like splitting stuff, but not with interactive. You know, it's like I don't see people using interactive in production at all.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys have you seen like anybody using it like in production, like the interactive one so far? Because like in according to Jesus, he was actually mentioning that you know, it's like it's not like a program that was ever finished. He mentions that in my thread I opened on Facebook and I asked this question about how to do the clumps. He mentioned that the person who was actually in charge, like you know, of doing all those changes in XGen, he left, and then they don't have anybody in place to actually continue the work that the guy was doing. And the intention was to actually introduce a lot of the stuff. You know, it's like seems like they already started to implement some of the stuff like the clump from splines and things like that. But you know, it's like it just went away, right? Like it's kind of like not priority at this point. So right now I'm just doing a little smooth right here. See, like it got a little the roots got a little funny in there, so I can actually just do a smooth curvature. Let's do like a very small one, and just try to get those guys to look better. If sometimes you get like trouble like that trying to smooth things out, it's not going too fast. Sometimes you can just like you rebuild the curves. So you go to your in guides here and then rebuild. So you do a couple of times and then now you get like a very smooth transition in there. So sometimes that helps to just clear things up. So let's go with this one. And then that one I might actually, you know, it's like I think I had my mask originally painted a little crooked on purpose, but I don't know if I did a good job with that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably do a little tweaking there. So let's see this guy here now. Where is it? Top left and then the right. Sorry, this guy. Yeah, this is the one I'm using. And then this is the opposite. So this one and this one. So yeah, I'm gonna have to, sorry. Yeah.
No, sorry. How did you proceed to make the groups? Did you start from the one you had and like erase some part and copy like the description to another, or did you just start again and just select and make a redo everything?
Yeah, man, the thing is like I wish there was an easy way to just copy properties, right? Like I know what you mean, like for example, like copy the entire noise and place in the other one and all that stuff.
Instance in something, because
yeah, I mean like
a tree of
yeah, you have like this you have access to this node where is it, like see relationships, is it relationships or general? Let's see where the node editor is. Where is it? Oh, right here. So the node editor, you can actually have access to a bunch of things here. And then I wonder if, for example, like you can just like plug some of those into the other one, kind of like in a chain, you know, so I can try to keep things like as a single network, but I'm not sure. And this thing is a little finicky, you know, it's like I'm going to show you something. I'm going to try to exemplify what he told me to do to create that effect, just so you see how it works. And you're going to notice that it's not the, you know, the most stable thing in the world. Let's start with a sphere here, for example. He did this. So he just like, you know, create a sphere right there. Let's see if I remember all the steps. It's not a lot of steps actually. So for example, let's pretend this is your head right there. And then same deal, you're gonna just like paint some faces. So you're gonna paint your faces in there. Oops. My display is very funny because I'm turning things off and it's not quite responding immediately. So let's see if this is gonna be okay to test, but I think it's gonna be fine. So he just like, for example, just like we did yesterday, paint like some faces you wanna grow some hair from. And then you go and create something. Let's put like 5 for instance, so not a lot. It's gonna be like test. So basically like you create a little hair in there, and then you can add your guides. So this is basically like what he says, like for concepting, it's totally useful, you know. But I noticed that when you add like separate curves by hand, after you do this, it kind of doesn't update kind of real time. You know, it's like it's a little funny, but it works in general. So under this one, I'm gonna add my guides just like we are doing all this time. And then here, I can create my guides, right? So I have like all those little guys. Let me just reduce, for example, let's go to this guy here. Let's add some guides by hand like we did the other day. So I'm just gonna click edit under this guy here. And then I'm gonna go to my density tool and I'm gonna just flood this, right? So I'm gonna eliminate them. Just place some of them by hand just like we were doing all those days. Click one in there, let's just grow it. It's pretty long. It's because I have my density in there pretty crazy. Something like that. And then let's add a few more here. Just like, let's pretend like you have just like a few like that. So what he's saying, it's a good way to hack this and force all those guys to create clumps around them is by doing this. Check this out. So you're gonna go to you're gonna use basically like this in guide here, not the guide itself, but in guide itself. And then you're gonna use, let's see, in guide, and then, oh, I need a clump. So let's go under this guy here, let's add a clump modifier. So something like this, right? So now I have like all those little clumps in there, which we can tweak, obviously, if you go to the density, right? You can actually tweak that to have like more or less of them, but it doesn't matter at this point here. See, like they're not following just those guys. So what he's saying is like you go to window and open your node editor, right? And before you do that, you can actually select them. So you select like the in guide, this guy right here under the guide, and then the clump itself. And then you go to window and then node editor. Let's try to get this guy here. Click this one, just look at, it frames it. So those are the two nodes you're gonna need. So I have the clump in here and I have the in guide in there, right? So what he's saying is this, you can expand this and you're gonna expand this one here as well. So you have your clump and you have your in guide. So let's see right here. Is it the correct in guide or is it the guide that I have to get? Let me see. It should be here. Let me just double check because I thought it was, maybe it's the guide itself. Let's see. Let's try to get the guide here as well. So let's get clump, guide, and in guide. So we have all of them at the same time. Let's get those guys together here and then in here. Let's see if that's the node I need. Noise frequency actually is under the guide, I think. Huh. Apparently there's interesting. I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Let's double check which ones are the nodes he's using here. Let's get to this. He's using the guide itself in the clump. Okay, so it's the guide in the clump. So, oh no, but here you see like he's actually ignoring it. So he's using the in guide. So I was right before. So the in guide connects to the clump. You have to use the out spline data from that. I don't know. I don't remember seeing it. Was it there? I don't see it in there. It's supposed to be the in guide 9. This guy here. That's so weird. Yesterday I did it and it worked fine. Basically, like I need to find that node to be able to plug right here into input points. I just don't know why it's not showing up. Out loud.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Maybe because it was in guide shape, not just in guide.
In guide shape? What you mean? Oh, the in guide shape. That's right. Yeah, you're right. This guy here. You're right. Thanks. Yeah, so this guy here, in guide shape, you're right. So from here, you just expand this guy. And now you should have, yeah, there you go. So you have like the out spline data right there. So this out spline data, you're gonna plug to the input points. So basically like you click this one and drag it to input points. You're not gonna see anything immediately. So that's basically like you still have the same result going on in there. Then let's see if we go to extra attributes, not actually extra attributes of the guide itself. So basically like we are using first the clump at the in guide shape, right? But now we're gonna go to the guide and then all the way to the end here. Which one is that? Is it, oh man. Extra attributes. Oh, okay, okay. So it's in the clump itself. So you have this use input points and here you have to turn it on. So if you click like the clump and expand it, you go to extra attributes all the way down there and you click this one, is not, nothing is gonna happen now. So basically like it doesn't show, but then you turn off the clump and then back on and it should work. There you go. So now it works. So the way it works here now is the same way, you know, it's like you can actually sculpt those guys the same way. And it should like bring everything together. Let's get a little bit more intensity here. So it actually works, you know, it's just like, it is a little bit of a hack in there, but it works. But the thing that's funny is this, like if you have like the same amount of curves like that, it still works fine. You can add like all kinds of modifiers and still, you're gonna have the same speed and everything. So for example, if I add like a noise modifier in here, things are still like basically like real time. So if I go like frequency and then magnitude, right? Can add all kinds of stuff in there. It works fine. But then let's say at this point here, you just want to add another guide. Look what happens. Like if I want to add another one right here, you see like the update's a little funny. I don't know if he actually changed. I think he changes the other ones as well. So let's try to sculpt this guy here. Let's try to add another one. So I have the impression that actually everything pops. So you see like the other ones are popping a little bit out of place as well, right? But then if you turn on and off, it kind of like, it comes back, you know, it's like it kind of fixes itself. So I don't know, like I thought it was a little funny, but it might be just like that's actually reinterpolating or something like that. But the cool thing that it actually works, you know, so it's possible to do it. And then since you have a clump in there, obviously at this point here, you can play with the clump like if you're doing like some afro hair or something like that, right? So you can use, for example, like some twists in here. You have like the curl, you know, right here. So you can use the curl and use like a curl scale, for example, to twist each one of them, right? It goes all the way to 1 in here, but if you add like, for example, like 5, you get like some big twists like this, right? So it might be useful to create like some interesting kinds of hair, you know, it's like have like all kinds of things you can do with it. But yeah, just basically like this is what he told me to do, and it works, you know. It's just like if you want to copy this, it's basically like this is the address right here. And yeah, it's a long address in there. I can actually copy and paste like in a little document inside of the class today, so you can actually have the link straight away. I think I'm going to do that. And then you can take a look, you know, it's like that's basically, it's a pretty nice workaround, you know. It's like I had no idea this actually worked like that, but it turns out that it does. So pretty cool. So
brilliant.
Right, it works great, man. I mean, like I had no idea.
So that solves me a lot of problem. I've been
right,
struggling with that quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like around this now, right? Like since you can use some of those around them, then you can add like a different description, for example, and work with other stuff. But for very specific stuff, you can definitely use some of those. You know, it's like maybe for specific hairs I need for her, I can paint like you know, just like a tiny little area, for example. You know, it's like in certain specific areas, and then just to groom it and making sure that, you know, it's like it's gonna follow perfectly. Then you know, just by creating a guide right in the middle of the selection, I think he should work just fine, you know. So it's gonna be cool. But again, like he said, like for production is not the safest thing to do. It seems like there's some problems with like pipeline, even like to render stuff in the render farm. It kind of like doesn't recognize a couple of things. So God knows, right? But it's a cool exercise. And then, so one thing you're gonna say here is that now we have a render. Let's pretend this is like a, you know, it's like it's my final render here. I was thinking, talking about like, you know, how I bring this stuff like to post my renders and stuff. And this, I don't have like a formula for how to make this like a perfect translation, right? Like to Photoshop, but it's a very close approximation, like those amounts that I showed you guys the other time. So the way I normally do, instead of like using sRGB here, which gives like all this contrast, I can go back and forth, you know, sometimes like for certain scenes, like for my African guy, I actually use the sRGB here. But for her, I'm kind of like sticking with the REC 709. And then, so if I want to export this, I just go to File, I click Save File Images. So I turn this one on. And then under the Save Image Files, I just make sure that I have like everything disabled in here. The view transform, I don't think is going to affect anything, but you know, that's basically what I have in there. And either use the apply gamma or exposure, because that's basically if you are correcting stuff inside of Arnold itself, right? You can actually correct stuff right here if you want. So I'm not doing that. So I'm going to just export this now that I have this set up in here and in here. So save image. Let's do like a test number 40, EXR. And then in Photoshop, it's going to look very different from there. Let's go to Photoshop here, open that. Test 40, this guy. It's going to look very washed out at first. Right? But then I'm using those little settings that I told you guys the other day, basically like my exposure. Oh, this is the wrong one. I think I tossed that. I'm gonna have to look for that information now. But basically, I posted on my Facebook. I'm gonna have to look for it actually. But let me do like manually here. Let me see if I remember. It's probably not gonna remember here. But I'm using like a little bit of color, the gamma, and then a little bit of offset as well. And then this guy here. But let me just see like the correct amount that I'm using here. Let me just go to my Facebook for a second. And I think under my anthropocene here, I think I posted right here. Because I don't remember. I had my little scene with a little template in there, but then my Photoshop crashed and I lost it. But I have the values posted here somewhere. Let's see. Where is it? Right here. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so, no, not this one, this one. So this one here, let's see, what's the correct. So I'm using like 007 or minus 007. So let's just move this away around here. And I'm gonna repeat those values here for you guys. ACES is such a thing, right? Like people, you know, trying to figure out how to convert perfectly. It's just like, so minus 007 I'm using here. So it's a minus 0.07. And then this guy here, I'm using a 0.04. And this one here is a 0.43. So basically like this one compares pretty well. You know, it's like, it's not a one-to-one translation like we tested the other day. That was not a perfect translation, but it's pretty close, you know, it's like to what we see in here. So, you know, so this one, okay, I saved that one, it's correct. So let's just try to move side by side here, but I posted on Facebook. It looks pretty okay, actually. Let's get this lady here, and then let's just minimize, move this stuff away. So basically, like, it's pretty close, you know. It's a pretty close translation between the two of them. So I'm using those settings in there, and then from this point on, what I have in here, I normally, if I'm going to use like some of the filters I use, I have to convert this to 16 bits, otherwise it doesn't work, right? So the first step is to basically like merge, flatten the image. So like you click this little bar in there, flatten the image in Photoshop. And then if you go to image mode, 16 bits, then you can tweak this one and just put like exposure and gamma, and that gives you exactly the same values. And then under filter, I'm using the alien skin exposure 4, exposure X4. Now they have exposure X5, I think, and it's a cool program. And it's like, it's $150, I think, that they charge, but it's just like all those settings you can get. You know, it's like it have a lot of stuff. All of those here are presets I use like for different renders. You can create your own presets and you know, all kinds of interesting stuff. And then, so in her case here, I think I saved one like Asian old lady. So I have like the sepia version. It has this kind of like a you know, blurred stuff around it. Then I have the coloring here and this one here. So basically what I do here, in the case of those renders, the new ones, I'm trying not to mess up with stuff too much, but I have a tendency of making everything a little bit cooler. So like it's kind of like a preference, I guess, you know, it's like, so we have like this slide here that's cooler and warmer, right? So the first thing I normally do, this is just a preference, you know, it's like some people like very warm images. Maybe in her case, it would be interesting to actually break that, go more towards that. But I kind of tend to go a little bit cooler, not green like that. It's something, you know, a little bit lower, something like that, just to bring that a little bit down. And then same stuff you have in Photoshop for the most part. You can actually add a little bit of exposure. The clarity in here, sometimes it gets too processed, right? Like if you do like too strong like this. And then if you go down, it looks like too blurry like that. So adding a little bit, just to add a little bit of detail is good, but without going too crazy. So for example, like something like 10 like that. It's a preference as well if you want to do like crank your blacks a little bit more or not. It's just a matter of like how you're going to be using this stuff. And then another thing that I do, I normally try to add a little bit of vignetting, right? Like it's, I know some people don't like it. It's kind of like a lens flare, right? Like yeah, add lens flare to everything. But let's see, IR, lens correction, where is it? Amount right here. Oh no, this is the grain. Focus, and then vignetting, right? So just add a little bit of dark around. So if I go too crazy here, it's gonna totally, you know, go too far. But add a little bit of vignetting is I like it. And then another thing that I do if I'm lazy to render anything with the depth of field, if I want just like a quick render like this that took just a few minutes, right? You can use this, either you can use the bokeh, which is basically like, I think it's the same kind of algorithm that Photoshop has. It's exactly the same interface, by the way. So it's basically like it works the same. So if you crank this one, you're gonna get the more contrast, right? Like try to keep the focus around the face at all times, right? And then this is just a cheat, obviously. It's not a perfect depth of field. It's blurring the hair and the background at the same time, right? But if you use like a low intensity sometimes, you know, it's like you can just get a little bit of that, you know, feel to, you know, just like to focus where the interesting parts are. So sometimes I use this one. Sometimes, you know, I'm gonna turn this one off now, just to show the difference here. Sometimes I use that other one, which is the focus slides in here. And this one here, I use the opacity. For example, if I crank the opacity all the way up and the radius up, you're gonna see everything goes blurry, right? But then they have this lens wrapping here. Look what happens. It brings like the blur just around the whole thing. So you can get like some interesting results just blurring like the edges around, you know. It gets a little dreamy sometimes, you know. It's like depending on how you're gonna use, obviously. You get a little bit dreamy in there. So it can be useful. And then there's another one, which is a very cool slide here. So I have my bokeh, I'm gonna turn it on again, just so keep it like very, very small. So it's a combination of the two of them. And you have this other one that's called IR in here. And this one here, the way it works, if I crank it, it's gonna get like reddish like that, right? But if I keep all the way down, in areas where you have a lot of light going on, you're gonna get some interesting bloom. So for example here, look what happens. Like if I spread bloom in there, right, it gets very, very strong. So you can like, you can calibrate, you know, it's like put a little bit of bloom like that, so a little bit of intensity as well. And you get a little bit of this dreamy kind of look, you know. Then, I mean, like this is the before and after. Pressing space bar, you can see the before and after, right? You just get a little bit more of that look. You can even go a little bit down with my coloring here. So the warmth, they're gonna go a little bit cooler still, maybe like 30, something like that. And then obviously you can play with all kinds of stuff. Like if you really want to play with like with the shadows, right? You can bring them up or down, make things a little bit sharper. I used to do a lot of very contrasty images in the past. I'm kind of like tending to do things a little bit more subtle these days. You know, it's like instead of like using the contrast all the time to get something like that, I kind of like prefer to go like very neutral. You know, it's like it looks a little bit more natural. It's almost like an amateur photograph instead of like a overly processed photograph, I guess. And then, so, you know, just like find what's the sweet spot. Like basically, like I don't change much more than those slides. As long as the image comes out of the render close to what I need, you know, that's why I try to do all those tweaks inside of Maya for the most part. So anything I can get extra juice in here, I do it, you know. It's like, but obviously it's so tempting to use like those presets. I mean, like you look at what they have in the gallery here, right? Like just under color, for example, this is all that comes with the software, like Cinema, you know. It's like you get like this awesome, you know, it's almost like a kind of like a Instagram filters on the steroids. You have like all kinds of profiles from actual cameras, right? Technicolor process. You have like some Kodak stuff. You have like some lo-fi, like, you know, Kodaks. And then if I want something even more dreamy, I can actually start playing with those guys here, the overlays. So a border is pretty cool. You can add like those types of borders. They have some awesome presets in there as well, right? So it's pretty cool, but you can also play with the zoom, for example. You get just a little bit of the border showing. And then you can play with opacity too. You know, it's like just a little bit of the scratches or not. You can actually flip things like that, vertically and horizontally, right? And then this is just one of them. So basically like, and you have the opacity here. You can, you know, multiply things or do like different types of multiplication in there. So lighter, whatever it is. And then here under grunge, basically like you're gonna have like all of those different tests you can do here, you know, it's like different samples. And then you have like damage stuff like that, which is really cool. And then scratch the stuff as well. So like, let's say like vintage, they have those guys. So those are cool. But what I like to use more than the borders themselves is to actually use a little bit of the light effect. So they have this one here, you know, it's like it looks crappy in there, but they have so many, like you can keep going here forever. There is like the sun flare in here. There's one that I like that's kind of cool. It has a little lens flare. So those are some interesting lens flares in there, but it's a different type of lens flare. Let's see if I can find it. Like lens flare, this guy here. So it looks pretty big, right? Reflections red, like that. So this guy here, if you click in here, let's see if you're bringing the light from the front, for example. You can just like twist it like that, right? You put from the top or something like that. And then again, you can just do like a little bit of, you know, it's like, you don't need to put like full on intensity. You can actually reduce the size of it, right? I like to have it like kind of large just to get like kind of like a sun rays in there. And then even like here, you know, it's like, it's just like you can control like what type of opacity you want, how much you want. And I can put like right there, even like bring more into the scene, for example, and get this nice look, you know. It's like kind of like, okay, there's like some sunshine shining through the trees in there or something, you know. Although it's not perfect here for this specific scene, still adds this aspect, you know. It's like even from the back here, for example, even if that was the case, since like she's in the forest, so the sun's coming from somewhere, not necessarily the front, because this is just a bright sky in there, but not necessarily the sun itself. So you can actually, you know, play with that and see what works for your scene, you know. So it's kind of cool. I like those settings that they have in there. And then for the sharpness, I tend to use a little bit of sharpness, but it's funny that they have in two different places. They have sharpening here, and they have this sharpening in here as well. So they both work. You have like to increase the radius in here if you want to get a lot of sharpness. But then again, one thing that happens with the extreme sharpness like this is that it kills the effect of the subsurface scattering sometimes, you know. It's like, at least in my opinion, when you look at the person's skin, you know, it's like, it's almost like you expect to see this kind of glowy surface, that everything is kind of organic and blends together. And every time you get like towards like an extreme case of, you know, it's like sharpness like that, everything gets more like it's almost like rocky in a way, you know. It's like, it's this dry look. So I try to not use too much of it. So like I'm sharpening things, but I can just use a little bit of it, right? Just to get some of that. So then once I have my scene the way I like it, I just apply it here. And the way that the software saves is basically like as a layer, right? So it's non-destructive. You can always go to this one and apply a different, you know, different effect after you did this. So if I go to this guy here now, one thing I can do is actually correct the distortion of the camera. Remember, you're using 85 millimeters inside of Maya, right? Just to confirm, let's just double checking here if that's what we are doing indeed. So let's go to panels, perspective 1, and then this one here. So if I select it, camera select, let's see what we have right here. So we were using an 85 millimeters, right? So by default, like all those cameras, they produce some kind of distortion, right? So I'm gonna try to correct a little bit of that distortion. It looks nicer overall when you do that, at least in my opinion. And also add a little bit of a misprint, right? Like add some chromatic aberration, kind of like on purpose, which is kind of like the new lens flare, right? Just don't use too much and you're fine. If you use too much, then it becomes a lens flare, kind of like the same lane effect. So if you go to filter, you can just go to lens correction in Photoshop. And then around here, I have a preset that I saved that looks like this. Nikon 85 1.4, basically, that's the lens I'm using. And the way you do this is just by selecting it here. So for example, I can select like Nikon Corporation. I can pick like a specific type of Nikon. So let's see if I get like this one even comes with the lens in here. So for example, like 50, 50, D3. I don't even know which one to pick. But here, basically what I did, I just picked like D3, and then it suggested a bunch of lenses after you do that. And then I picked like an 85 that I found. Let's see, 85 1.4. Let's try this one. Oh, this one is the opposite. So this one is distorting things more. Which one was that? I can see right here my preset. Let's see, like 84. This one. So this one is using an 84 1.4. What is that? IF raw. So definitely a D3. Oh, right here. Oh no, this is the raw. That's weird. That's doing the opposite. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one that's supposed to. So it basically like corrects the perspective. You know, it's like it brings things a little bit more, a little bit less distorted. And obviously, you can actually play with this slide here and get like more or less of that. Right. So once you have that in place, just make sure you have this auto scale image. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's like it's going to try to compensate. And, you know, it's like by, for example, like right there, you can see what it's trying to do is using like edge extension to compensate for it. So it's kind of like making some weird stuff. If I just do black color, basically like that's the distortion there. You don't want that. So this auto scale actually brings it back to the crop and removes that stuff. So yeah, it's just like, it's just a calibration here to recover a little bit of the, you know, remove some of the distortion of the face. If I have something around there. And then for the chromatic aberration that I use, if you look here, it's almost like you don't need to use a blur because sometimes the images like CG images are so sharp, right? And this one is not a sharp one because it was rendered with the progressive render and it's like, it's still noisy, right? It's not like a super nice, fine render. But even here, I mean, like if you remove this completely, then the image gets a little bit more sharp overall, right? But as soon as you start cranking those, for example, like I don't go all the way up, you see like how much chromatic aberration I'm getting here is like very strong, right? Like the blue tint in there. And then all the way down, right? You get like extreme blue tint. And then all the way up, you know. But I tried to do exactly what I did here, the zigzag, but just like with small values, something around here. And then it's just a little bit of that fringe that happens in there, just enough to create some, you know, weirdness. One thing that happens here, if I don't have like any distortion happening with my camera, with this one here, right? It ends up like that everything is super sharp. But as soon as I apply this, now with the distortion plus the fringe, everything loses a little bit of the sharpness. So if you look like this one before, right? Like very CG looking, you know, it's like there's a lot of sharpness everywhere. And this one, basically like using a combination of the chromatic aberration plus the removal of the distortion, it really gives this this look that's a little bit more natural. You know, it's like obviously as CG artists, you know, it's like we want to see all the fine detail that we added to the character. You know, it's like you want to be able to see all the pitch fuzz we did. Otherwise, why do it, right? But everything it's in the subtleties, you know. It's like if you do something like that to look a little bit less perfect, you end up like selling it a little bit more like it looks a little bit more realistic at the end, you know. So like yeah, it's like I use this guy this plugin for almost like everything. Like this amount of distortion. After you remove the distortion, you realize how things are distorted, right? It's like I noticed this like with my African guy. It's like the amount of distortion that I removed, he really his face looked much more natural at the end, you know. So yeah, it's something that sometimes we forget to do, but it's nice to actually just bring things back to its natural place, right? Or not. I mean, like maybe I went a little bit far. Maybe I can keep like in between, you know. But definitely remove some of that kind of like a fisheye effect a little bit. You guys have any questions about this? I mean, like I know it's not like a software that everybody uses, you know. It's just like it's what it was my choice because of the amount of filters you get like for free, basically. Like not for free, you're paying for it, but the amount of cool stuff that you have, like in terms of filters, you know. It's like just like for quick posts. I mean, like at the end of the night, if I'm tired, I'm just like did a lot of work in those models, and I just want to post something that looks kind of cool, you know. I just go like something like, let's say like the black and white. This is some of the filters I create like for when I posted like Alex Gray, right? It's kind of blurry in there, but then all kinds of stuff, man. Like this is the Dick Smith portrait. I was testing some of them as well. And it's you know, it's pretty awesome, man. It's like there's a lot of those filters. Like the black and white is very cool, especially the let's see, the vintage stuff. The vintage stuff, I love this ones here. Those how you call it? I don't even know how to pronounce that, but it's definitely like a kind of like a wet plate, right? Although they have the wet plate in here too as well.
Chris?
Yes.
I'm not very sure to understand why you were distorting the image afterward, because when you have what you're trying to solve as a problem, because you think it's more natural, because it's more deformed in the camera, but why don't you change the focal in Maya, for example? What difference does it make?
Yeah, I mean, like the focal length you're definitely going to still get the distortion, you know, because of the way that the lens is projected to behave like a real world camera, right? There are things you can do. I mean, like you can tweak some of those parameters, but the distortion is going to be there, you know. So depending on the camera you're going to be using, unless you render something that's more towards, you know, it's like a more orthographic kind of camera. So for example, like instead of like using an 85, I can, for example, like get like a 200 or 300 and then zoom in to get to something closer to this, right? Like in terms of the framing and everything. But there is something about like correcting afterwards to me that's more appealing. For that reason I mentioned, you know, it's like you kind of like break this very
degradation. Okay.
Yeah, the perfect lines everywhere. You know, it's like everything. It looks so CG when you do you know, the render straight out of here. But I mean, like it's an option. You know, it's like if you want to do, for example, like to get more sharpness and get like rid of the distortion, you can definitely do that inside of here, no problem at all.
No, I'm not against. I'm just genuinely curious.
Yeah. No, it's just like I'm not even. Yeah, it's just like it's just an option to. It feels a little bit more natural to me, you know. Just you know, this thing about like creating a little bit of that or removing a little bit of that sharpness. You know, it's like really, it's cool and everything, but it's just. Although afterwards, I mean, like if you're using a lot of depth of field and everything, obviously, all this stuff here is going to naturally look a little bit better because, I mean, like you're going to be defocusing a lot of stuff. But still, you know, it's like at the end, I still use, I think I went a little far here with the distortion, but, you know, it's like I normally do a little bit of it just to get rid of the CG stuff.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Have you ever used the camera raw filter in Photoshop?
Camera raw?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You have pretty much a lot of the same stuff you showed us, but inside of Photoshop. But you have to, normally when you render a XR, it's 32 bits. But before you use it, you have to convert it to 16 bits because it won't be available in 32. Yeah. But you have a lot of the same. It's like a processing software for RAW. photograph.
This is the kind of stuff when you double click like a raw image from your camera, right? Like it opens in Photoshop.
Yeah. And you can. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he opens this one so you can actually tweak it, right?
Yeah, you can also correct the camera distortion and everything there.
Man, I'm gonna start. Yeah, I mean, like if you guys don't have access to the alien skin, I'll definitely take a look. I mean, like, and even distortion is probably a better process here, right? I imagine like that the way that they're gonna distort the image is gonna be better. Where is the control for that, by the way? Like,
I think it's the
basic
before FX.
Tone, detail, adjustment, split toning, lens correction. So yeah, there you go. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how nice it is, It's like, because if it's a different algorithm they're using, it's probably going to preserve some of the sharpness as well. Let's see. It looks pretty sharp. Look at that. It's not like introducing that. Yeah, this looks like a better way to go, I guess. Vignetting, I can use a little bit here as well. And then let's see the defringe. The defringe, I can actually fake it here, right? Like instead of like defringing, I'm going to actually introduce some fringing. Let's see how it works if I want to simulate that. Yeah, I'm going to have to poke around, but I wonder if there's a way to just like do the opposite, just introduce some fringing instead of defringing. Or you can do a combination of both, right? Like nothing stops you from using. Yeah, so you have an option here to crop as well. Like, does it crop all the way to remove that border in there?
Yeah, I don't know. This is strange.
Yeah, because removing the distortion in the middle, then maybe you're gonna have to crop it. But it's pretty cool, man. I mean, like, I'm familiar with this just by when I open like my CR2. Is that CR2 format that comes from the camera, the raw?
I think it is there, DNG and CR2 and EXR.
Exactly. And then, it's cool that you kind of preserve the sharpness, which is kind of what I'm trying to avoid. but it's very cool, man. I might.
You can.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can also convert the layer as a smart object, so you can keep it non-destructible.
Oh, nice.
Non-destructive.
Very nice.
And you can go back and adjust again.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. You guys guys are masters of Photoshop, man. I've seen some stuff you guys do. So at this point here, so basically like that's the way I approach it. I was like, I use this little software in there. I mean, like the filters are really cool. You guys should at least like maybe like download and try it. It's like, it's very cool. Like for $150 is pretty good deal in my opinion, but it's like I'm not going to be forcing people to buy anything. So at this point here, I'm just going to close this whole thing about it's like the hair, the way I'm doing it here. I think the things I wanted to talk about, I spoke about, like, how I'm approaching like to do like variations and things like that. It's like this technique I just show you that Jesus actually shared with us. I'm probably going to add some of those, just like paint specific areas and just like groom some specific stuff, because you have to remember that her hair has this very specific stuff right there, right? And then since now I have like those 3 layers, like she doesn't even have a lot of sideburns. I'm going to have to remove some of that. But I have like them in here, and then I have this middle section, and then I have the top section covering the entire thing. And now that I have all the guides in place, I can start like actually, bringing some of those and going all the way around and then towards the back again. I can actually crank those my flyaways quite a bit to get more of that stuff around there as well. And then at the end, you can always just like sculpt layer, right? Like sculpt brush, and then just tweak everything by hand and overwrite everything that's underneath it. And you can use this light to actually combine things. It's like I can do a pass that's really going to town and bring this stuff out, and just like use this light to just bring slightly down. It's like for example, those guys here, I can see myself using like some much stronger clumping to get some of them. You see like there's a clump right there, very visible. Another one right there, and then it starts splitting out a little bit. So remember, you can always have access to the clump brush itself that you can use in the hair itself, the follicles, instead of just the guides. and it's like you're never in trouble. You know, it's like if desperation hits you, you can always select like a bunch of hairs and then sculpt this, just like I said yesterday. And I was like, it's easy to just like add more stuff. And then, but I'm gonna open. I mean, like for general questions. I mean, if you guys have anything, you know, it's like you can be like refer like to previous models or anything like that. You know, it's like if you want me to open some model, or if you want me to explore some of the other shaders in here that I have, anything goes. I'm gonna leave it to you guys so we can actually try to track down some of your most common questions. You know. Oh man! Oh, sorry.
Unrelated, or it's not unrelated, but you mentioned before that they don't use interactive or for animations. Do they still use XGen, or what do they generally use?
Yeah, Jesus, he uses XGen. Yeah, he does use XGen with the core, because I guess like it's this fine line, right? It's not like just because you can use the tools that they are kind of like ready for a pipeline, right? Sometimes like they're cool, you can use like for your own concept and stuff. But then if you're trying to push some stuff through the pipe, and then all of a sudden like it doesn't run in the farm or something, or for example, like it's not consistent, some of the follicle is gonna get broken in the process or whatever, you know? So it's not something you can trust. And yeah, it's basically what I said yesterday. It seems like XGen is not like a complete package, you know, with the interactive. And that's basically what he said too. He's like, it's not supposed to be like a complete package because the guy was still developing it and he just was let go from Autodesk. And now we are orphaned from someone to do a nice like bug tracking of the interactive, you know. It just has so much potential, man. I'm just like, I love using it, you know. When I don't have crashes like I had the other day, like 4 times, it's just like, it's awesome to work with it.
I'm somewhat new to it, and I've been working with it the last few days, and I'm like just starting to like feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like it a lot too.
Don't get too comfortable because then it crashes on you.
It crashed a lot. I'm comfortable with it.
I was about
more
to say,
comfortable with rebuilding.
I've been using XGen for years, and I'm more and more tempted just to find something else. I've been reading about Yeti and people comparing about what was the pros and cons. And they're like, yeah, it's because it's node-based. And I'm like, oh, I don't mind that. We're like, oh, it's complex because it's node-based. Like, no, it's simpler. Like all the instancing you were talking about, like the noise across different groups. Well, they have that because that's how it works inherently. And but the real plus of Yeti, it's the snappiness and stability. And I was like, oh, please, I need that in my life.
You know, it's like I think was it Yeti? What are the other packages that we have for hair? It's like
you have like haircut, shave.
Shave and haircut.
Epic. And I don't know actually. I'm not a groomer.
I think it was Yeti that someone like a friend of mine got me a license of Yeti. No, it was not Yeti. It was Ornatrix. So
but that's a plugin like the from you put polygon and it convert that to splines.
Yeah, it's actually a full-on solution, you know. It's like Ornatrix. It looks pretty powerful. And this friend of mine, he used it a lot. And then he hooked me up and I installed, man. And it was like one crash after the other, you know. It was completely unstable, in my machine at least. And I complained to him, you know. I was like, and then he said, I'm going to put you in touch with those guys, blah, blah. And I was like, man, I have to start like doing this stuff now, you know. I was like, and let me try XGen. Let's see what I can get. And then I started XGen and I was just got like straight to the interactive, you know. I was like, oh, that is usable, you know. The amount of crashes I get with XGen, this doesn't compare to the amount I got with Ornatrix, but maybe it was just my personal experience, you know, just the same as some of you guys sometimes like use the interactive. It's like, it's impossible because it's crashing all the time. That's not my case. It crashes eventually, but not all the time.
Yeah, but even so, for me, the pipeline, like the polygon placing, I don't feel like I work in video games. I place hair with cards, and I hate it so much. I never thought like, oh yeah, there's this program, and you just place card and you make hair strand. No, I want the other way of fucking around. I want to make curve and shit, and it plays cards. I don't want to place cards to have. I don't understand that way of thinking. Where here with the stacks and a non-destructive way of placing the curve, it seems really fun on paper.
Oh yeah. It's definitely, I mean, and it's just like every time I want to find a little solution, I was like, how can I do this? Other than the clump stuff, I was having a hard time. But now with this little solution from him, I can see myself like using that a little bit more. You know, it's like, for example, my African guy would probably like use a lot of that. You know, if I knew before, you can clump those. What I did actually to solve my problem, let's show you this. Let's see. Man, I'm so glad, guys, that internet doesn't have smells, because my armpits right now are killing me. Sorry for sharing that, but I'm so glad it doesn't.
We appreciate the detail.
Yeah.
We're all quarantined inside. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Man, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, but showers is still allowed, right? I mean,
it's only time if you have kids. I have no time for anything. I have a 2 and a 4.5-year-old that are just.
Oh man, yeah, totally. So for those guys here, for example, when I sculpted them, the way I found like to do this stuff, obviously I had a lot of noise going on. I had probably a little bit of clump and twist, but what I did, I got like a small brush, for example, and I just like select like little chunks of hair, and I just grew them. So basically, like I just like made them longer in the specific areas. And then when I rendered it, I got exactly what I wanted to do. It was like with his hair, based on the the kind of like the reference I was looking before. I mean, like that's the stuff I was looking for. But there's always a way to do. It's like even if you have to manually sculpt the hair itself, the follicle. So that's basically what I did in there. So before the noise, I just grew them. So I had like this all like wacky, broken up silhouette. And then as soon as I add the noise, it just like, so it starts like actually making them look more like the way I wanted. Kind of similar to what I have in there as well. But yeah, there's always a way, man. It can be a hacky way to do it. It might not be something for a pipeline, but definitely like for our cases here, like just doing portraits, you can have like very specific, perfectly sculpted stuff. It's like there is no limit for what you can do with XGen Interactive in terms of like designing stuff. Now, to get there, I mean, like obviously there are tools I believe like much easier to do. With Core, for example, like all those different formulas to get like stuff to stick to the splines, and it saves you a lot of time. But in terms of like the amount of interactive sculpting you can do, I could potentially at this point here add, for example, like a sculpt layer, a sculpt tool here or modifier, and completely like straighten the hair and completely like twist them and do anything I want with it at this point. So what I'm trying to do at this point here is just like push as far as I can with those guides, actually getting like the general shape and everything. But I'm definitely gonna go to town, like just selecting little chunks and then twisting stuff and doing whatever I want with it, Like it's definitely like very, very powerful.
Would we be able to do turntables with these?
Oh, that would be good, right? But the thing is, like, my models sometimes are so hacky, like in the back, right? There are some memes going around. This guy, like, it's like people like post like the carrot looks awesome from the front, and in the back is just like a polygon, right? So I definitely want to do like a general pass in all my models, for example, going like behind the ears and making everything great, because I really want to do some 3D printing of those at some point, So I need to be more concerned about that. Now for the hair, if you're 3D printing, it's gonna have to be, gonna have to figure it out. I mean, like there are ways to convert to polygons, but then I probably would have to convert to polygons, I believe, like with a small amount, and then bring those into a ZBrush, and then use there is a, what is that? It's not the Dynamesh. There's another one. You can create like a mass of that volume, right? Like kind of like a rough mass of that volume. And then sculpt again over there, maybe like even, I don't know, project you cannot because it's just a lot of stuff, but definitely like a general mass you can get and then just like sculpt.
Like Shadowbox or something?
Yeah, it's not Shadowbox. Let's see if we can find it here. It's, let's try that test actually. Let's do like the whole thing here since we were talking about it, and then you guys can keep asking me questions. But let's say if we do something like this. So let's get one chunk here. Let's try the sideburns. There are not a lot, right? Like otherwise it's gonna take forever just to export everything. But let's try the sideburns, and let's see if I remember how to export those. I think it's under generate, and then convert XGen primitives to polygons, or convert, let's see, let's try this one, sidebars. Convert only selected primitives. I don't know if I'm selecting the primitives though. Combine mesh, and then even like UVs, whatever
Hey,
it
Chris,
is. Yes.
I think this one is for Action Core. There's another one, Convert
this,
for Convert Action Interactive one.
That's right. Like, where is that one? There's a, I remember, yeah, that's right. There's one that's convert to interactive. No, interactive room tools, I think. This one, let's see.
No, I think you just passed it. It's
below.
Oh,
under the cache.
Cache,
Oh,
right
no,
here.
the-
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Convert only selected primitives, combine mesh. Okay, basically the same controls. Let's try and see what that does. Did you do anything?
Would you be able to do a turntable though?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like you would do fine. This one generates the empty group. I think I have to select something here. I'm not sure now.
You just got to do the Ian Spriggs thing, where it's
What is-
like,
Oh,
he does
yeah.
like the half, like it's like a 180.
Man, he spends a lot of time preparing, like making offs, man. I don't have that patience he has. It's like, it's almost like a mini documentary, you know? It's like, I really appreciate his patience doing that stuff.
Yeah, but at least he doesn't ever post as he's working though, right? It's always like
Exactly.
one post, like bam,
Yes. Yeah,
here
yeah.
you go.
Most of the artists I know, they don't like posting a work in progress, you know? It's like, because you're being judged, right? Like, I mean, even if you don't want to, I mean, like people are looking like, yeah, I don't know if this is gonna turn out okay, you know? And then you see like my stuff, like I go back and forth, some stuff breaks, and people don't want to see that, you know?
Oh, especially in the beginning stages, man. It's it can be
Yeah.
brutal. Even for work, you know, like you have art directors asking, "Oh, like we need to see like a post so we can comment." It's like, no, you don't want to see it right now, man.
Yeah, dude, it's like, yeah, I totally agree.
We had at work, we had secret channels to post whips between artists because like we're scared to show it to other people.
Yeah. Convert interactive room to polygons.
Actually, I have the other problem around. Well, yeah, it's in progress. Oh, it's good, it's finished. No, I have too much to do again. No, you can stop. But like, no, let me do things.
Next assignment, here you go.
So something is converting here. I don't know what's doing. Let's see what we can get. Maybe it's converting the entire thing because I removed the only selected primitives. Let's see what's going to happen here. And I forgot to click combine mesh. Jesus, man, that's going to take forever.
Hey, Chris, I think your next step should be converting all your stuff into real time in Unreal.
Oh, that'd be cool, right?
Because now they got all the hair system stuff down. So you can actually convert X-Gen hair systems directly.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. Yeah, I saw that stuff. Like Epic is doing a lot of stuff, right?
And it's always impressive to show, like, I don't know why it is, but it kind of is.
Yeah. So check this out. So this one was generated in polygons now. Look at this. It's all polygons and looks really cool. You can potentially like render this in some other software out there. But let's export this. Let's see what happens in ZBrush. If you see if we can get anything to look okay. So let's try export selection as OBJ. And then let's do a OBJ here. Let's do a hair test. Only one. And then let's bring the old lady here. I'm pretty sure it's not going to look perfect because I just had this thought about doing this way. But since we are here, let's might as well try it. So it's personal projects, and then this one.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
But when you convert it to polygon, it's like a strip. It's a strip, like a ribbon mesh, right?
Oh, I'm gonna have to extrude them, right?
Yeah, so it's not watertight yet.
You're right. I think
also it's like super thin. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna print.
I totally get it, man. You know, it's like this kind of stuff I remember doing in the past, and I knew I had to extrude them. Totally forgot about it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like if I zoom in, it's just like tiny little strips. Just combine this whole thing here. Let's see if it's gonna take forever or not. Maya is one thing, right? Like, I mean, like sometimes you get like a polygon that is not even that, you know, heavy in terms of the amount of polygons you have. Like, for example, like a mesh with 164,000 faces. But if they're always split into different objects, Maya freaks out about it. You know, it's like sometimes like I remember like working with transformers and having like some scenes with a lot of pieces, but not a lot of polygons, and it was painful, man, just like to manipulate. But then once you have those ones grouped, you just delete the history, and then you should clean up, and then you should be faster from this point on, and then you can actually extrude everything at once. So now it's back to just one, and now it's not going to freak out. Now the camera is going to be fast and all that stuff. But yeah, just like you said, look right there, select one of them. Yeah, it's just like little strips. So definitely like ZBrush is not going to recognize that. So
maybe if you put the visualization of the strands in tubes instead of plane, if you convert them, it will directly be tubes. No?
I'm not sure actually, because I think like for visualizing I had tubes, but not like for Arnold I didn't have that set up. But one thing we can do here is just like really hacky, is just extrude it. Let's see if it's just too heavy to extrude all of those guys at the same time. Now it's too late, I already clicked. So let's try, let's get something like that. Let's see, thickness offset, is it offset? I don't even remember anymore. Let's try to pull it out. It's adding a little bit on there. Let's see. If I crank that amount, let's see if it's just doing the right direction though. Seems like it's not doing the right direction. So let's see. I think it's the other axis. Just pulling to the side. So I guess it's the blue one. Yeah, the blue one is facing it. Yeah, there you go. Let's see, if I'm extruding this way and it's actually flipped, then I can just like unflip the whole thing. Let's see. Bring it a little bit more. Okay, so it's the local translate, I guess. Okay, so now I have the polygons. They're pretty thick. That's working. And then let's just delete history again, just in case, and then export it. And let's just sort of write here, test. And back to ZBrush. So how many polygons you got now? We got 664,000, which is not too bad. So the old lady right here. Yesterday, man, I went like in this thing about, in today as well, saving every like 10 minutes my XGen stuff, like afraid of losing anything. I got like so traumatized the other day. So my folder now has like dozens of 600 megabytes files. I'm gonna have to do some nice cleaning in there soon.
But you're working in Google Drive, right?
Yeah, I do have it in there, but the thing is, like, when I'm teaching the classes, I try to pause them and then just continue later, you know. But yeah, when I upload stuff to Google Drive, what I do, I go like every 5 of those files, you know, so I can delete the other ones and keep just like one every 5 of them. Like,
yeah, but you know that because of Google Drive, you have access of all the save, like of its versioning, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. So you have like the old stuff in there saved?
Yeah, every time you save, it put in backup. So even if you like save again, or it's not like time dependent. Every time it changes, it's upload, and you have a maximum of 100.
But I think it's like it's not optional, because like I get this message all the time because I'm keeping everything synchronized at all times, and then sometimes it pops saying like, oh, this was removed from the computer. You want to remove from the cloud as well? And I always say yes. I just remove from there, you know. So do you think it still keeps?
No, that's not the problem. But check out if you go into your account, you can't. Sadly, you don't have like in Dropbox drop menu in Windows. But if you go on your file, you can right click and you can see versions. And you can see all of them. I actually
never checked that.
For XGen, because it keep crashing and corrupting my scene.
Yes.
Every time I was like praying, like, which one did you send in?
I know, man. So like you're saying, like if I right click in them, I still can see the previous stuff?
Yeah, on your account though, not on Windows.
Oh, okay. Oh, under the account. Okay.
If you have Dropbox, you have that directly in drop menu in Windows, but in Google Drive, no.
Oh, okay. That's cool, man.
That's saved my life multiple times.
Yeah, imagine that. So look at that. So now I have hair in ZBrush. And I bet they render nice too. Let's try BPR, look. There you go. Look at that. And make a werewolf. So let's go to this guy. Append some hair right there. So I don't know exactly how this is going to work, but there is one. I'm pretty sure you can find it here. Let's see. Let's click that one as well. Let's just duplicate this one time, hide it. So it's probably around, I think it's remesh actually. Let's see, remesh, like in general is going to create the very weird stuff because it's only, the resolution is only 128. So let's try that first. Oh, I did for the lady. Well, I think it's everything that's visible, huh? So let's see, this one, I'm going to delete. So everything that was visible, I suppose. So let's try to make her invisible. Let's try to do just with those guys, see if it's doable. Yeah, there you go. So, you know, it's like if you increase the resolution, this is non-destructive. It actually creates a copy every time. But if you click this guy for like 512, I don't know what's going to happen, but you do something like this, you know, like now you have a little weird geometry in there you can play with. Maybe like I went too far with the resolution, but if you have something that's just a little bit of it, I think you can make something sculptable, you know? So for example, let's try again with, I don't know, 350. Remesh. You know, it's like you can start with something like that. I mean, like obviously if you have like the sculptress on, then you're probably going to be able to actually decimate this stuff further, you know. But at this point here, I'm just like going to have to figure it out. Let's see. Oh, my polygon is not even showing. Oh, I'm doing the opposite one, this one here. So this guy here, yeah, you would be able to actually use like a, let's try with the lower intensity, if it does anything different. No, actually it's gonna decimate pretty equally. So probably like a smaller brush if you wanna decimate like decently. Let's try like that. Maybe inflate a little bit, you know, it's like something we can try to do, like maybe like create some mask, but just like, or just like creating a version of it that's just like even lower res and then projecting it. So let's see if you do in 2 passes, for example, do one kind of like this, like 300. And then, oh man, this one actually created a bunch of crap in there. What is this? Where is this coming from? Oh, I made a hole, dude. It's because before I was using the the Sculptures Pro and I sculpted this one by mistake. I was like, holy crap, what is going on in there? So yeah, so that's the copy here. Let's create another one. Remesh all. Still very high res, man. I don't like that. Actually, let's skip this one. And then let's do a second one, starting from this guy. And this is going to be very low res now. So let's try 180. Hopefully it's not too much. And then let's try to see what happens if I try to project them. It's going to be a mess. Let's subdivide one time this guy here. And then let's just project all. It's going to be awful. Oh yeah, that's not even the distance I want. Oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, like the whole mass is going to be there, but you're probably going to have to resculpt. I'm trying to, you know, cut corners here, and that's not going to happen. But
hey, Chris,
yes.
What if you like before you remesh, you inflate the whole thing? And
that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Thicker?
Yeah, that might work. Actually, this one here, for example, like this one I just generated. I bet if you inflate it and you you know, use a little bit of maybe like decimation or something to clean it up. I don't know, but definitely like, yeah, let's try to inflate this guy here. Let's see, is this visible? No, this way. Let's try to see what happens here. This is one of those tools that sometimes crashes ZBrush, the inflate balloon one. But let's try just the regular inflate. Oh, look at that, man, bubbles. Let's try to smooth this. Oh man, not smooth with the sculptures. That would be awful.
Just dynamesh it with polish.
Right? Let's try to dynamesh it. Let's see. We are just trying things here, man. It might be an interesting way to, in the future, to just create something that we can actually use.
What if you inflate before you do the remesh, so it's like cleaner version of it, so the strands are thicker but like cleaner, and then you do the remesh?
We can try too. Let's try. Let's get this guy here, And then a copy of it, this guy. That's just an inflate here. Deformation. Whip. Now we have tubes. We have macaroni. Look at the roots in there. It's so cool. This one you probably could 3D print the same. It would be amazing to see like this 3D printed like macaroni.
Is there a way you can keep like the thickness of a hair so it's thinner at the point? Like maybe with the masking while they're in UV states, since you export UVs for those polygons and such?
Yeah, I think you can. Let's see, like if you assign, let's see if you assign like a map here, for example. I don't know exactly what's the direction of the ramp, but let's see if we get some ramp like this one. Let's try this one, so the vertical one. And let's see if we can assign it. Let's see what happens if the UVs are actually there. Let's try that one. So yeah, it goes from, so the root is the pink stuff right there, right? So potentially you could have like a, it's like a black and white map, right? That you could start like there and then use that one.
Some of them, I think it's been separated in 2 UV sets. By default, that's like a 2x2 UV sets when you exported it. You can see some of the strands don't have the same colors.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder, like for example, like if I created, let's see, if you have like something like this. No, that'd not be good. Let's try this alpha. Let's get this alpha. Let's do something hacky here. So alpha, let's just spin it around. So rotate like that. Let's make this into a texture. Right. So now we have this one. And then let's just apply that one instead. Let's see what happens. Now it's like white. Yeah, you're right. Like some of them are kind of like, it looks kind of flipped, isn't it?
No, I think your assessment is good. It's just like it makes by default. It's like for exporting cards actually that I've used that in the past, and it makes UVs and it's just a 2x2 grid.
Yeah,
so, and it's scattered across every strand.
Yeah, look what's happening there. It's kind of like a some of them
are perfectly. Some
some have the cap
from white to gray.
Yeah, some have the cap in a different color. So that's kind of weird. I wish like it was like perfect. I mean, like when I exported, I think there was an option there. I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I said. Is if you choose like don't make the UV tile just a 1x1, it will be perfect. But
I get it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's good to know, because that in this case here, if we had something like this, we could potentially create a mask, right? So let's see, like let's just convert this to let's try. So I'm gonna subdivide one time. Let's go to poly paint and then poly paint from texture. Now it's poly painted. So let's see, masking by alpha or color. I don't know. Let's see. Mask by color, mask by alpha. Let's try that one. And then let's remove the poly group. I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like experimenting with you guys there. But let's see if I just smooth things. Oh, got a little slow in there, buddy. Let's go higher. Yeah, in this case, it's smoothing. It's like it's making thinner, the opposite, right? So we would have to reverse that mask, I think. So we just go to masking and then inverse, Control H, hide. Yeah, some of them work. I mean, like if I did that, what you said, I mean, like you would, I guess it would work nicely, you know. But it's cool that it's creating those little trumpets right there. Look.
If you do it before you do the inflate, you can export them with the normal size, and when you inflate with the mask, it would just inflate linearly to
That's true, yeah. That's pretty cool, man. Look at that. But this is because like the caps are a different color, so that's kind of like they are masked in there. So if I remove the mask now, I can actually just like smooth them. Oh, that's too much. Like, you know, just remove that. But it's interesting. I mean, like there is definitely a solution in there, right? But at this point, it's like only I guess like you would do this if you want to render stuff in ZBrush, right? Like just to create those thin points, because if you're trying to 3D print, you're definitely not going to use that. Yeah, but it's interesting, you know, it's like just a little experimentation in there. I like the macaroni ones though. I think, yeah, this one here would be cool to actually convert, right? And see what we get. Let's try to like see, like unhide this guy and let's split it. Sub2 split. Where is it? It's because I have multiple split hidden. There you go. Let's try that one. Oh, it's kind of like a heavy tool, I suppose. It's taking a little bit. 334,000 polys. It shouldn't take this long. And I don't have a mask at this point, so. You know, it's one of those things. We are poking around here, man, and we are pushing the envelope here, and ZBrush doesn't like that. Yeah, I tried to.
I take Chris. I think it's because you have subdivision, and even if you're on the lowest, when you split, it's gonna like split it, and then it's gonna divide back up.
To be able to recover the subdivisions right there. Yep, totally. But yeah, let's try with this guy here alone. Let's see what happens. Let's see, duplicate, and then so you're suggesting for us to do just like go straight to Dynamesh, or should I do something else? What should we try here? Because at this point we have Dynamesh as an option. You have the.
You probably want to inflate a little bit.
Inflate more.
Some of the hold, yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. So let's deformation inflate. Think this is enough? It's pretty square.
Yeah,
huh?
that might work.
It's pretty square. And then geometry, let's see. We have our Z remesh subtool. So which one I was using before? So I was using this. Let's try Dynamesh. Let's see what it does. Maybe like 256. No, maybe too much. Let's try default first. That's funny. Look what it did. It's actually all separated, right? So I think that's why it's interesting to just do like create that mass model first, and then maybe something else later. So actually like it blends everything, but it's something we have to try, like the remesh thing. You know, I don't know if it's gonna do anything good in here. Yeah, this is like too low. Yeah, we're gonna go through the whole process, but yeah, it's something to experiment. You know, it's like I definitely gonna try this to see if I can get some stuff to be able to 3D print eventually. You know, but definitely it's
Chris,
yes.
One other thing you can try, but it might not work as well, is if you want to get just the envelope, like of everything, and then get a nicer topology afterwards to sculpt on top of that. You can do like in 2 steps. The first one is like if you press W, like the gizmo, there's a remesh by union. Oh. That one, like it gets rid of all the intersections, so it only keeps the envelope. And then after that, you can like remesh that thing because it's now an envelope.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's yeah. That might be something. But it's cool. I mean, like to know that we can actually bring this stuff in here and actually have access to this kind of stuff, to me is kind of like a miracle, you know? Like back in the day, we didn't have access to any of this. And nowadays we have like ways to bring like hair back and forth. That's pretty awesome. Because I definitely need something like this, you know, it's like to create a, you know, it's like a concept of the hair for sculpting in a, for the, you know, it's like for the little sculptures I want to create. And I might be able to actually use some of those, for example, to project with like, even like with the project tool, you know, I don't know, let's see, like the duplicate, let's do like a crappy version of it again here. Let's see, 200 this time. So this guy, I'm gonna just subdivide it. Let's try if I can just like project something. Let's do something like this and then use this guy in the background like that. Actually, this is the one. Let's see what happens if I do this with crappy Z project. Probably is gonna fail again, but we can try. Let's try it with low intensity. Yeah, I think that might work actually, you know. Be able to recover some of that stuff as a detail in your model, you know. I mean, like if you're 3D printing, this should work, I guess. But then you would have to refine the forms, definitely. Now, if you do a combination, right? Like if you manage to do all the right things like we were talking about just now, you know, it's like manage to export with the right UV, just one tile, so we can get like some tips and everything. And then maybe like inflate even further, so each one of them would get like much thicker all the way to a little point. I think you would get away with this, you know.
I'm never sculpting hair again.
See, we just figured it out, man. We just figured it out. We cracked the code now. But yeah, look at that. It's a possibility, you know. It's like nothing great here, but I mean, like let's from this point on, let's just do a quick like hacky job here. Deformation. Let's try the maybe like the polish by features. There you go. Look at that. That's pretty okay. I can live with that. But yeah, man, it's like living and learning. I guess we discovered something today.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I got a random question.
Uh-huh.
Whenever you get time, what character do you think you'd go back and revisit? Because I personally think Michelangelo was like coming along really nice and needs some more love, man.
No, I need to tell you something, man. Check this out. You know Giger, right? Obviously. So Giger's, he has a manager. He had a manager for many years. So I got an email, a random email a week ago from a person who works with Giger's former manager. And they said, like, we really like that portrait you're doing, but we have something else we want you to do for us. And I was like, okay, so I'm like super excited because I don't know what it is. And I'm kind of like on hold. I don't know what they're going to come up with. And but it's just like the fact that the guy who actually managed him like for decades, you know, it's like the guy is interested to talk to me. I was like, fuck, man, such a, you know, honor. I don't know what's going to happen, but you might just like not fall at all through, you know.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But that's one I want to. I'm planning to go back, you know, like to Giger. I want to go back to Michelangelo now, especially like Michelangelo. I think he got put on hold because of the hair. Didn't have a lot of confidence about what we could do with it. So maybe go back to Michelangelo.
Can we see it?
Oh, yeah, oh, sure. Let's see. It's just like it's kind of like an idealized version of the guy, right? Like it's kind of like a, you know, trying to use some of the reference I found, which is not a lot. I mean, like the reference we have, like they're kind of like you have stuff like this, right? That you find stuff like this. I think was one of the only profiles I could find. We know for a fact, like reading some of the story behind Michelangelo, that he had a severely broken nose because he got into a fight with a friend. Great friend, right? His friend punched him like square in the nose and broke his fucking nose. And the other thing that we know about the guy is that he was not a very clean guy. I mean, like he didn't shower a lot. There's you know, some stuff in a book that mentioned that when he took his boots off, it's almost like his feet, like his toes are almost like falling apart. Like, you know, he didn't shower that much. And he was kind of like savvy with money. I mean, like he accumulated a lot of money by doing all those jobs for the church and just like getting rich. Basically, like he became very rich. But apparently he suffered like from arthritis. He got like pretty much like severe like problems with his health. But he still lasted like 80 something years old, right? I think he died like 80 something or 90. But at the end of his career, he actually switched like from doing his paintings and sculptures more into architecture stuff. You're going to see a lot of those temples and stuff he did, because he could not handle that anymore, you know. But very interesting. So this is from Marco De Luca. He did like a version of it, which is based on this guy here. It's kind of like there is a kind of like a death mask that was done by one of his apprentices, actually. And then, you know, it's like portraits like this. You're going to see they're slightly stylized almost, right? Like the eyes look a little big and stuff. So it's almost like there are certain things you can trust, some you cannot trust that much. For example, like if it's based on a death mask, like we talked about this before, you know, it's like a lot can happen. I mean, like the life itself is kind of gone. And also the plaster, whatever they're using, going to end up like deflating some of the forms. And then you never know if the forms are actually like that or not. So I kind of like trust a combination of seeing like some of those sculptures done from the cast, but also the fact that, oh, this one is actually a reference just for a broken nose. I thought was pretty cool. And I think like he might have something similar based on that side view that I saw, you know. So this one here, I mean, like it's a different person almost, right? Like much longer nose and stuff. So it's kind of like trying to find this average of everything. And this is actually a self-portrait, and I would kind of like trust. It's kind of like embedded in one of his paintings. There was, you know, it's like one of his drawings, a self-portrait, right? So I would trust that one maybe like more than some of the other stuff. But overall, it's just like cool, you know. It's like just to see. Oh, there's another one. It's like the only two ones that you can see himself in there in his painting, you know.
It's such an interesting challenge, though.
Right? It's just, but I mean, like my version is kind of like a mix of all those things, and at the end, it's kind of like unique in a way. But definitely something I want to keep poking around. You know, it's like it looks like this so far. You know.
Oh, so, awesome!
Yeah, so it kind of like stopped on this like for a while. So this is like was the first sketch I did, and then it kept evolving. You know, it's like it looks kind of like this at this point. But I definitely like I have to go back to the hair itself. And then figured out how I'm gonna do that, you know. But I mean, like you see, like the skin. The intention when I was doing creating those portraits when I did like Dick Smith was to actually be able to reuse the skin detail. So this is basically like it's a straight on from Dick Smith. It's just like the skin wrapped in his new face. You know, it's like because I'm teaching the classes now, I'm not doing this. I have to actually paint everything from scratch every time. But I have this option of like stealing stuff from, you know, other painted stuff, you know. But yeah, definitely like something I want to try to go back to. Those are the different iterations, you know, it's like in different phases. But
oh my god, that's so cool.
Thanks, guys. And then for Giger, I mean, like his face is still like a little bit stylized in a way, but it's kind of cool to see. Let's see, like let's try this one. So he has this kind of like a, you know, it's like interesting. Like there are a lot of more forms in here that I'm not actually introducing just yet, but just like his gaze, you know, it's like the thick eyebrows and everything. This is kind of like I'm interested to go back to this guy. And then there's one like with the very beginning of some hair in there, but pretty crappy. He had like a little bit oily hair as well, but I have to go back to this guy eventually. And so those are the two ones I think I would go back, but definitely Dick Smith. There is a guy who is actually writing a book about Dick Smith, and he asked me for a render so he can use in the cover. And I have to go back to that one and just like try it, just like I did with the African guy, you know, it's like try to do another pass that makes things a little nicer. And yeah, so many projects, man. It's just like I don't have the time for anything. I'm going to finish this class, and every time I finish one, I was like, okay, now I have the time to go and dedicate to finish one of the old portraits. And then I was like, man, now I'm exhausted. I just want to play some video games, you know. And then I play some video games for a week, and then the next class starts, you know. Like, holy shit. Yeah. And this next class is going to be actually my first one in Portuguese. It's going to start like on the April the 13th. So it's going to be in Portuguese. Let's try it. Yes, tell me, Sarbs. Sorry, I cannot hear you.
I was I was imagining that Michelangelo was talking while I was watching that model on Instagram. It will be nice. Yeah, I wanted to do Leonardo.
Leonardo,
also,
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
They can fight, man. They didn't like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have most of the collection of Leonardo and Michelangelo.
Oh, it's amazing, man. I mean, like, I know some people who don't like Michelangelo. Actually, I know some people like, oh, Michelangelo sucks. You know, it's like
even Bernini. I have.
Yeah, I do have Bernini too. Bernini was amazing, man. It's like more modern master, right? But Michelangelo, I mean, like some people talk about like his anatomy being off and all this stuff. He was very self-critic as well, you know. But
I think they talk about his female anatomy because it's just dudes with tits.
Yes. But here's the thing, like there's an argument to be made about this. Like my art teacher back in the day in college, he mentioned that there was a lot of psychology in his stuff. I don't know if it's a conscious thing, a conscious effort, right? Or if it's something more unconscious, because he was, I'm not going to say like he was a homosexual, but there are some indications that he liked his apprentice. Let's put it this way. But my teacher, he used to say that he used like this. It's almost like a perversion of the norms in a certain way, and he thinks that the guy did on purpose. It's like, for example, in favor of the piece itself. I told a friend of mine this theory, and he said like, that's bullshit. He doesn't know the anatomy. That's it, right? But my teacher said, for example, like when you see the Pietà, right? Like it's this Virgin Mary holding Jesus dead right there in her arms, and he says like, just look at that piece like carefully, and tell me that that's not on purpose. That the proportions of Mary is like gigantic. She is the one in charge at that spot. She's like basically like the most powerful being in that scene. And then Jesus is held as like almost like a kid in proportion. He looks like he's like a 9-year-old in her arms, it's like, or even smaller than that. It's almost like the power of the mom holding that child, it's like, it's very touching. I was like, when he said that, I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. But you never know if that was intentional or not. I was like, the guy was a freaking amazing artist, and he was basically like a slave of the church, right? Like he had to work for the church. He was kind of like their pet, right? And sometimes when you are constrained to an environment like that, you have to work in a certain way. I believe that people like try to, to put like little messages here and there, it's like, just like you have with creation of man, like the brain, right? Like people saying like, this is basically the brain that was actually hidden in there. The same way, maybe he has his own trip, it's like his own psychological twists into things, and then some perversions, like making like females with body, it's like a masculine bodies, it's like, and vice versa. I mean, like you see some of his men, like even David knows, like some of the films are the forms are very feminine in a way, very sensual. And if you look at there is what's his name of his master, the guy who actually, it was Verrocchio. Is it Verrocchio who was the guy who was actually taught him? And there is actually a sculpture of young Michelangelo. You can look at that on the internet, and he's represented as basically like a little child, like I don't know if it's like a David or something. Let's see, Verrocchio, and he's completely feminine, man. He's represented very feminine. Michelangelo. Let's see. So let's see. So this one is from Verrocchio, Michelangelo sculpture. Let's see. Let's try that. So this is supposed to be like basically like a representation of Michelangelo as a young man, right? But it's very like, sensual and feminine. It's almost like he has tiny boobs, and this was supposed to be like the young Michelangelo. So, I don't know. Represented as David, by the way, right? Apparently like Verrocchio was his master, it's like, so you look at this, it's like, it's almost like it's a little bit too feminine in a way, like the way he has these little things around his boobs in there. But I don't know, I might be wrong, it's like, I don't know, something was going on with those guys back in the day, but nothing against it. It's just like, it's
to me, I think the most disappointing thing was when I discovered that they didn't really just sculpt everything by themselves. I was like broken.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. The apprentices, right? Like
yeah,
exactly. Just put the minions to do all the hard work, and then you go there with the fine chisel and just like polish it.
It killed me.
It's the company name, right? It's the artist.
Yeah, and some of those guys had like gigantic infrastructures, like for example, like I think it was like Rubens, like the painter, who is like pretty rich, and he has like a mega structure behind him. It's like lots of people working for him, and then kind of like it's like, oh yeah, I worked for Rubens, probably like he wasn't paying those those interns in there, It's like he was not paying anything. And then there was like lots of scam artists as well, right? Like I don't know if it's just completely true, but I read about it, so take with a grain of salt. That Salvador Dali, for example, Gala was the love of his life and everything, right? Although he had like also like very homosexual tendencies as well towards one of his friends and all this stuff. But Salvador Dali actually, when the Gala got together with him, she actually was the kind of like the businesswoman, and she convinced him to at some point like sign a bunch of like blank canvas and stuff, it's like, and then or drawings or whatever it is. and sold like all this stuff with his signature, you know, made all this money like with his signature. So people to this day, they believe like some of the stuff that is signed by Salvador Dali is not Dali, you know, it's just like someone who painted something and then there's just a signature in there. So you never know, man. Like one thing that I read about Giger is that when Giger met Salvador Dali came to him and like he said like, oh yeah, man, let's you can have sex with my wife and blah blah blah, you know, it's like it's all fine. So it's like he said like, dude, it was like all this twisted shit going on, and that's like Giger saying it, you know. It's like, and Giger, like you look at his painting, is completely twisted, and then for him to be freaked out by Salvador Dali, you can tell something was a little off in there. Oh man, I love those stories, dude. It's like
that's hilarious.
Like, dude, just look at Giger's stuff. It's just like penis and vaginas everywhere. And then it's like, oh man, and then I was freaked out because he wanted me to have sex with his wife or something. I was like, holy shit. So good. Yeah, man, back in the day, those guys did just like drinking absinthe. It's not like the washed out absinthe that we have these days, right? I'm talking about way before Giger, right? Like those painters, like the French painters, Toulouse-Lautrec and all those guys. Like drinking absinthe, man, night and day, you know, it's like that thing like turned people blind. Like it was like 100% alcohol, that shit, with a little flavor here and there. Nowadays, it's like people get absinthe like, I don't know, like 80% or 70%, or probably less than that. It's like 60, 70%, I think, alcohol, which is a lot. And people like, oh man, that's the shit. But back in the day, people were drinking pure alcohol, going blind, you know, it's like having hallucinations. That stuff gave you hallucinations, you know.
Like pure, it was like pure moonshine and wormwood.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Not only the alcohol, but the wormwood and all that stuff, you know, it's like people like tripping balls, man. So imagine like someone like visit you this guy's house, you know, it's like, oh yeah, check this out, that's my wife, you know, you can have her, it's fine. You know, it's like, holy shit. Oh, too funny, man. What can I do for you guys here, man? We already created some hairs, and should I open something else? Like I'm totally free for you guys. I mean,
so sorry, just to clarify real quick. Sorry,
yeah.
sir. What would be the best way to do like a turntable with these characters? Would it be like to animate them, or would it be like to have like a camera on like a?
I would actually animate them, you know. Probably like I would do a. Just make sure that your hair is not broken first, right? Let's just delete this thing here. So let's see if we get our old lady here. Blah, 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 blah. Let's try. So I have at this point here, I have to be careful because the way I have everything set, it's kind of like it's all outside of groups. So let me just double check if I can do actually. Oh, look at that. I have a lot of crap in there. Let's see, let's get the base eyes. So the eyes first.
We're just wondering about the hair itself, I guess.
Oh, the hair is fine, man. I mean, like if I just do a turntable just with this guy here, for example, just with the hair, just with the face, let me just double check one thing. I'm gonna just bring it down one time like that. I'm gonna turn on maybe just the eyebrows. So it's following it, right? So if that's the case, let's see what happens here. Let's just do like a little spin. Let's go to another camera. I would definitely spin the character rather than trying to spin anything else. Because if you try to select anything else or group, or, you know, it's like with the camera, in the past, I remember had a script that would create like a perfect circle and everything, but I don't remember how to do that, to tell you the truth. So let's just spin this one. Let's try S. Let's just break the relationship here with my camera, which has a bunch of stuff. Delete this one. Okay, so let's go back to her right there. And let's spin her. So from 1 to 20, rotate in X, Y, Z. So 360. It's going to be what, like a 350 something, right? We have to discount. Anyway, like just going to do like 356. So let's say something like that. I'm going to make sure that I have everything selected. Like you can click Shift, for example, select everything here, and then click right click, and then you can do like a tangent linear. So now like it's a constant speed, right? To make sure that that's it. I don't know exactly like what's the perfect amount here, because that's like 360 divided by 20 basically minus 1, right? So one of those, so that's gonna be 18. So so like 18 degrees less or something like that, right? Like to create the full spin at 20 frames. So yeah, it's just a matter of like calculating what's the difference in there. So now that I have this one, let's go like to a frame like halfway. Let's try 10 around here and see if this stuff pops in the right spot. So eyebrows right there, sideburns, and then side hair, top hair, top hair. Apparently it's all in place, you know. Let's try this one, this one, this one. Now, since you have like everything in place now, if you try to simply like scrub through this, it's gonna be a nightmare, right? It's gonna be super slow. Let's click like 16, for example. Let's see if he updates. There you go. Yeah, it's fine. As long as you don't break the relationship, you know. It's like that's why the first thing I did, I moved the whole face first, and then clicking one of those to make sure that everything was following first, you know. Otherwise, you can tell straight away if the relationships are broken. Then you're screwed.
Cool.
But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I've never used XGen and V-Ray before, and if you move anything, if you like set anything to an animation, it immediately like sets the hair off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try like in the render here, like in the render specific setting. Let's see. For example, I think it's gonna be fine.
Already look better.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine, but let's just try, for example, like with this camera. Let's do like a quick save this lady here. Store snapshot. Let's try to just render from here. Although this one I think is linked to the previous camera. So let's see. If that doesn't work, I just have to reload it here. It's calculated without the eyes now and all the other stuff. Okay, loading now. Okay, so yeah, it's linked still to the other camera. So I can probably like just do a, let's see what camera I'm using here, perspective. Let's switch to perspective here. If it doesn't do it, can actually just reload the scene. Yeah, it's working. Okay, so this is the lady right there. And let's see if we can get just the hair. Something like that. So the hair in this frame here is working fine. So let's try to scrub here to frame 8. Let's see if he updates it.
I'm very jealous as to how quickly your renders update.
Oh yeah, the progressive, right? The progressive render is actually working very nicely now. Yeah, it was painful for a few years. Although the other machine I had, it wasn't terrible, you know. It's like I said, I paid like a, man, I had no money to buy a machine at that point and I needed one. So I financed like in 10 months from eBay, a used machine for like $1,300. So basically like that was my previous machine. And basically like, yeah, I mean, like just like living paycheck to paycheck with Bay Area here, you know, like with the 2 kids in school. But yeah, thankfully now with the classes, I mean, like I'm able to actually pay for a decent machine. But it was fine, you know. It's like that's basically the machine I used to work for work. You know, it's like for ILM from home. I still use that old machine because it's basically like a beefed up version of the machine we had at work. You know, it's like, see, like just to scrub through here, it's kind of like it's taking forever just to update the scene. So that's the problem in there. So probably like the render time is gonna be a little funny. But yeah, that machine I had is it's a HP Z620, and with 96 gigs of RAM, and it's like a dual Xeon, so it's like a dual. So it's like it's 16 cores, right? 32 threads. So it's a pretty good machine. But and then the ones we have at work, it's like it's kind of inferior to that. It's the same machine, it's just inferior. It's still a very nice one, you know. It's just yeah, it's $1,000 machine you can buy from eBay, which is really cool. But definitely like the thread ripper, man, it's quite amazing. But you know, it's like this thing I just clicked in here is kind of like it's taking forever just to update now. I'm pretty sure I'm sorry.
Do you use just an HDRI?
Just one HDRI, yes.
And can you show us the subsurface settings you use?
Oh, sure, yeah. Let's do that. I think I did this like before yesterday, but I can definitely go through it again and just like show you what the settings are.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Not a problem. Like we are here for that. So I'm just gonna cancel this. I mean, like, oh, interesting. It's actually updating some stuff, not updating some other stuff. Huh. Yeah, it kind of froze in there, man. But this kind of stuff, like if you're rendering a turntable, you're probably not gonna use. Oh, it just updated. You're probably not gonna use the Arnold render view anyway, right? You would probably use the render sequence, and the render sequence is gonna use the Maya render view instead. You know, so probably like you're not gonna go through the same problem here, but just like updating the whole scene, it might be, you know, a little bit time like that, right? You just like flipped around. So probably gonna have to look from this angle, but definitely everything is in place. At least like at first glance, I have to double check. But yeah, let's look at the shaders here.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, no problem, man. Let's try that. So let's click the face, go to my, here, graph, input and output connections, actually graph materials. So the shader network, as we stand for those renders, it's quite simple, like compared to a lot of render shader, like shader networks you see online, that people overcomplicate stuff, which I think is cool. You know, it's like people just want to make like the most realistic possible, right? So they keep adding more and more stuff. But for what we need, I mean, like I just use different maps on demand. So if I need more stuff, I do, right? So right now we have like what, like color map. So 1, specular 2, 3 with the bump height, 4 with the roughness. There's a copy of the specular in there. And then the displacement, so like basically like 5 maps, there's a copy of 1. And then there is the cell noise, that's just like a procedural, right? And that's about it. I mean, like not a lot of stuff going on. And then obviously, like eventually, if I find like, okay, I need to be able to control the specular in a different way, I might tweak some map or whatever, you know. But subsurface in itself looks like this. It's just like 130 for the scale, random walk, and then I'm actually shifting the front scatter towards shifting the scatter towards front scatter a little bit, so like 10% more. Just get a little bit more of that glowy kind of feel to it. And then for the radius, instead of using the red stuff or the saturated like super peachy stuff, I'm actually using more towards yellow and orange, kind of like there. For that reason I was mentioning before, you mean when I had this renders before, everything was looking a little bit too red around the eyes. And now with the settings, I'm getting like a nice, more naturalistic kind of like, you know, it's like pink, orange, and then pink, red just when it's very deep, something like that, you know. But everything else is just like, it kind of looks right to me. You know, it's like instead of like having like this glowy, super red stuff, it looks a little bit more natural. So basically like just by desaturating that color quite a lot, you end up like getting that effect, you know. So yeah, so my settings here with this output REC 709 on with the color management in here, that's basically the values I'm using, like 25.474, 0.415, and then 0.878. And so do you want me to break down the whole shader, or just like mostly subsurface you need to know?
I'm fine with subsurface.
Okay, yeah. And then if you have, for example, if you want to see the rest of the shader network, I believe it's like was the day before yesterday. So you have access to the whole shader. I broke it down completely.
Yes, I'll take it. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So, and then just that little, you know, for the map itself plugged into the subsurface, I have a color correct node plugged to it. And I'm actually just tweaking the gamma here, not because it's something that's necessary. It's just because by looking at the renders compared to what I see in the reference I had, I thought like, okay, I would have to paint a little bit lighter in ZBrush. So instead of doing that, I actually decided to just like here correct a little bit, you know, but just that's the only tweaking here. Saturation contrast is basically default. And then for the map itself, I think, Yeah, it's all default as well, so I didn't tweak it at all. Yeah, guys, so tomorrow is going to be our last one, so let's think about something we can do. I'm probably going to be breaking down whatever else I add to the model, right? Like just make sure you guys get everything, like, you know, just like I did today with this trick for the clump stuff that I learned yesterday. Like if I learn anything in the process, like doing this, you know, it's like maybe I'm going to experiment with those little clumps in the specific areas to get more of the design stuff that I want, like more specific stuff. And then definitely I break it down for you guys tomorrow. And then we talk about more stuff. We can talk about the industry some more. We can talk about maybe like some of the clay stuff that I rendered in the past, which now is kind of obsolete because now everybody's selling clay packages. It's amazing, man. And like 2 different clay packages now I can get. And they're amazing too, amazing looking, like especially the Jama one. Have you seen the Jama one? He's like about to release it to a Blender, right? Like it looks quite amazing, man. It looks very realistic.
Yeah, it's great. See, that's what happens, Chris, when you go on ZBrush Summit and
I know, man.
all your info.
I know, right? Like I posted stuff on the like a ZBrush Central, and people are just like, what can I do with that? He said he's not gonna sell it. Maybe I can figure it out.
Exactly. You had the chance to capitalize, man.
I know. Too late now. Just run with it. It's fine. It looks much better than mine, so I'm totally fine with that.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. I have one small question.
Sure.
I don't know if it's relevant to others. I wanted to know the cloth texturing actually.
Oh, the cloth texture. Yeah.
Suppose wool and cottons, something. Is there any presets or something?
I would say, I mean, like I'm not great at sculpting like cloth or anything like that, but I would say that the times I experimented with in ZBrush, for example, using the noise modifier, right? That noise, surface noise. There is like a weave preset in there that you can get. Like it looks very nice, you know, it's like just to create like the basics. But in Maya, I actually used this one. I can open here. Let's see. Should I save this one? I think I messed up with the scene so much, but the last time I saved it was at 750. So I might have to save and then deal with the problems that caused in here during these experimentations. Let's see. Let me just open the.
I am actually more concerned about texturing. Modeling, I will do something whatever comes to my mind.
yeah. And she has she's basically like a 60-70% cloth, right? Like in that model because she's covered. Yeah, I totally get it. Let's see, open. Let's get the, for example, like let's open the Dick Smith or maybe like the Rick Baker one. Let's try Rick Baker. It's been such a long time I opened. It's like every time I open an old model, I cringe, you know, like because like, oh man, how come? You know, you learn stuff over time and then your eyes get better too, you know, it's like you start seeing like and be very self-critic about it. So let's try direct light, tweak, shirt only, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know which one here. Those names don't do anything to me. I don't even know why I bother. I should just name like random shit, you know, and just get the last one. Let's try this one, renamed.
It's usually whatever you were thinking at that exact moment.
Yes.
You can never come back up with whatever you were thinking at that exact moment.
Yeah.
It's like hiding it in the perfect spot and never finding it again.
Yeah, there is no context, right? Like to remind you. Yeah. I mean, like it's such a thing, right? Like, oh, look at this. You actually crashed straight away. It's such a thing that I even forgot what I was saying. Like, oh, when you work for a company, like you have to be super precise with naming and everything. Otherwise, nobody's gonna ever find what you did. So you have to be super careful. And then when it's my own work, you know, it's like I just don't give a shit. And it's just like it just pile in there. And I should be more like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, more methodical because I do this all the freaking time, like 8 hours a day. And it's like, no, just forget about everything you just learned. Oh man.
Hey, one of my favorite things is opening someone else's scene and just complaining for 20 minutes about how everything's messy.
Well, I hope you never get a hold of my scenes, man. But yeah, at work, I mean, like my scenes are pretty pristine. At least I believe so, because it has to go through some programs we have like to check all the things in there and make sure that everything is precise. You know, it's like if the naming convention is wrong, it red flags it for you and everything. So yeah, definitely.
How long do you guys work on like a hero character actually?
Oh man, I don't know if I can disclaim anything here, man. It's like this video is gonna end up like, but I can say the things that that went out, for example, like that are, you know, kind of like in interviews and stuff. So I think like it can be anywhere. I mean, like you got a transformer, right? Like you're gonna get like you're gonna have like a parts library that you're gonna be reusing a lot of internal parts, for example, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. But then the main panels you're gonna have to sculpt like basically like brand new ones, like for each one of the new characters, and that can take like anywhere like between like a month and 3 months, just sculpting like new panels and new pieces for that character, you know. But then you get a creature, for example, it's an ongoing kind of thing, you know. It's like with Kong, it was constantly kind of like a. He actually kind of looks decent for how long I'm not looking at him. I think I can have fun like revisiting this model and doing some more work in it. But you see, like this kind of stuff here, you want to see how many guides I have for the hair? You're going to be amazed with this. Check this out. Now you're going to be amazed for reals. So let's see, for example, the beard. Let's see, goatee. So everything is split here. You see like the way that I did this thing in the past. So like the mustache is separate. So I separate the mustache. Everything to have
I like it on me.
Yeah, to have more control. Oh, you want to see Super Mario? Check this out. Let's see. Oh yeah, that looks kind of badass right there.
Frank
yeah, so,
Zappa.
Right? Check this out. But let's see, like this thing here, for example. Look how many guides I have in here. None. There's no guides where hurt in the making off of Rick Baker, man. All this stuff you see here was basically like brushed like with the comb brush by hand. So like the only part I used was for the long hair, which I got like a lot of them in place. But then everything else here you see, it's all groomed by hand. So when people get like too pristine about like, oh yeah, like you have to be careful because you have to have the guides perfectly, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm saying. You know, it's like if you want to sculpt stuff, you can sculpt everything by hand. I like the way that I did like some of those flyaways in there. It's kind of like just selecting one by one and just like making them slightly thicker, doing those ones a little bit thinner, you know. But yeah, it's like definitely like those old models teach a couple of lessons. One of them is like, if I put enough time in it, I mean, I can make anything happen. It's just not going to be a conventional way of doing it, but you still can make it work, you know. So let's see, for the clothes here, let's just switch to shading default. So the clothes, I think like it's a combination of having some peach fuzz, which like, look at his peach fuzz, like it's kind of fucked up in there. I don't know if it's the angle, but one thing I remember is actually removing the peach fuzz from underneath the beard, just to save some time in memory. But like for the clothes themselves, if I look at this one, let's see what I have in terms of the shirt right there. So let's see, under the bump, what I did, I added a procedure in here. So let's go to geometry. So I have this cloth in there. So basically this one here, it's a procedure from Maya itself. Let's get the, so glad now I can move stuff around. So this one here, so let's see. So cloth. So this one here is a procedure from Maya. So let's say if we go to 2D textures, you see there's cloth in there. So this guy by default looks like this, right? You can use this as a bump or you can use it as a displacement as well. The only main concern you have to have, I mean, like you can actually change like how thick the weaving is. So you can make a little bit like more tight like that, you know, or a little bit more open. You can add some randomness as well. It's supposed to be like tileable, so you still have like the tiles and everything. And then so I used like a couple of different, you know, variations in here just to make sure that it looked a little bit more organic. And then I just assigned this one as a bump for the cloth itself. Let's see if I can I render this? No, I can actually open an actual render. Let's see, Rick Baker. And so that combined with adding some peach fuzz on the top, and the peach fuzz has to be kind of like a, you know, a little scraggly like that, just so it doesn't look like super straight or anything. I did this for this area here as well for the entire like the suit, right? But let's see the model here, images. Artstation large. No, let's see. Yeah, probably those guys here. I mean, it's dark, right? So I cannot see that much. But look, it works nicely, you know. It's like, it's just a, I think what I did was actually a combination of bump and also assign it, mixing with the diffuse color as well. Just a little bit, you know. It's like very decontrasted and very low intensity. And then I use the same thing for the shirt. You can see a little bit right there. This is just the bump, actually, right? And then there's this little pieces of stuff that I put in there, like the, you know, little things here and there. And actually, those little guys here, this dust, I think it was like post. I think I did some post in there. But I like the way that you know, so if you use this type of peach fuzz, it kind of breaks up the pattern. You know, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit more of this different stuff around it. Let's see if I have another one. Oh, this is like the progress stuff, like back in the day. Let's see, yeah, here. Let's see. Yeah, so like this is kind of like the, oh no, I thought it was the high res, but it's not. This is another model I'm planning to revisit and try to build on that. But definitely, yeah, that was kind of like what started everything. You know, people kind of got the attention of some people, and then people decided like, oh, would you teach some classes? And that's how I started, you know. I think it was right after this one, actually. But good times, good times. All right, guys. Yeah, so try to use that one, you know, it's like use that pattern, and then it's just a matter of like how many times you're going to repeat it. It's just like make sure you go to your UV coordinates, right? And then expand this one. And let's say like you need to use like, I don't know, like 50 repetitions of that to get like the nice pattern or everything, you know. Let's see how many I have for this guy here, for example. Let's see if we expand it here. I'm repeating about 1,000 times just for this guy here alone. So like repeating that little pattern, because you saw it's a tiny little pattern, right? And then, yeah, if I repeat like 1,000 times, then I can get everything covered. Now the trick is to actually make sure that everything is unfolded, right? So basically, let's see. Okay. So make sure that you go, let's see how I have this stuff set in here. So it's gonna be window, modeling, UVs. And basically, I can make sure that everything was completely unfolded, because you want to make sure that it rides perfectly on top of the pieces, right? And another thing is like make sure that the direction looks good. For example, like if I'm going like from the front to the side, for example, like to the sleeves, make sure you rotate that piece of island in there, right, to actually conform to that direction you want it to follow, right? So in this case here is mostly like a little bit more horizontal, right? Like I think those guys here are pretty much like very vertical. So basically like this leaf is gonna run like from the top down, right? But the important thing is that they are completely unfolded, and then, you know, when you assign it, you should see like a perfect grid in there, you know? So that's it, guys. Always a pleasure. We talk to each other tomorrow again, and let's do more explorations.
Awesome.
We learn about some hair in ZBrush today. That's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
See you.
Thanks for all the tips, guys. You guys are awesome. I mean, like so much experience in there too. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you, Chris.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Stay safe, guys.
Everybody.